Alright, I'm back out in the field today. I'm checking out my normal spots here at Cathedral Rock in San Antonio. It's a nice day. It's kind of sunny. Still a little bit kind of mid-morning. Wanted to get out and check stuff out. We came out here yesterday, but we just came to run on the Greenway. We didn't actually spend a whole lot of time looking around, seeing what we could find. We did see like a little small garter snake like towards the end of the day before we headed back to the house, which was always exciting. And now I'm gonna hit up all my normal spots, take a walk around towards the other end of the trail, also hit some spots along the way. There's some people that are out here in the woods that are leading towards kind of my normal spots, and evidently somebody's been out here turning over a bunch of the stones over by the creek, but they haven't been putting them back where they found them, so they're kind of messing up the habitat a little bit, which is unfortunate. But I think today, look around, probably talk a little bit about kind of where I envision all this work going, given I can't, or I won't be able to go to Ecuador to work on my pilot study there. Instead, I will try to do something here that's interesting. Maybe not as interesting as hanging out with the Kofan people of Ecuador, but nonetheless, we'll find something interesting to do. Just hitting up some of these areas towards the beginning of my normal routine, including the tire inner tube and all of these boards and stuff that are out here. There's a crazy horn honking out that way somewhere. So we're just actually a little bit off the trail. Well, the creek runs that way, and this is a little road that people come to use. One time ran into a guy out here sometime last year, and he was trapping wild pigs, and he unfortunately had his trail cam stolen by some young hoodlums, which made him very irritable. The trap that used to be set to catch the pigs is like right here where all of this tree is, and right on kind of the other side of it. We're gonna check all these little bits of wood here and then move on. Not really had a lot of luck with these. There's some scorpions and some cool spiders that have been in here. Right here, checking out our two bits of roofing. Let's see what we can turn up underneath these. Always wary lifting this one up because there's a giant scorpion that likes to hang out over here. Nothing here. This is where we usually find or used to find rather, the really great coach whip. And here's where we've had the garter snakes last time, which we have nothing. It's a good time of day. It's not too hot. It's in the mid-60s or so. So expect to see some stuff out sunning. So walk the road here, see if we can't turn anything up. Keep my eye out on the sides. I've already seen some activity with what I think was a snake, but it was in the tall grass and I couldn't really see what it was. I just saw the movement in the grass and a bit of tail. So just remain vigilant. Alright, I think what I'll do is actually just hit this little bit of stuff up here and then head over to another part of the trail and then come back here later in the day when I think it's more likely they'll actually be able to see something. We'll see. And then as I'm walking over, maybe I'll talk a little bit about what I think this project's going to morph into. So as you've gleaned by the title of this channel and stuff I've said in another video, I'm an anthropologist. And as an anthropologist, my primary interest these days is thinking about multi-species relations. So a lot of my work is in multi-species ethnography. So really studying how humans and animals relate to one another. And I like to think about these relationships as they occur and are mediated in various kinds of spaces. And the space that we're in, here, where I've been spending much of my time on the public greenways here in San Antonio, is I think a really interesting side of kind of multi-species entanglement, where you have people coming into contact with all different kinds of species. There are tons of birds out here. We often see deer. As a matter of fact, we nearly always see deer. We see wild boar out here. And my experience is primarily working with, primates, and then doing ethnographic work with people, but also working with reptiles and amphibians. I really like working with snakes a lot. And so I'm thinking about one particular kind of relationship that's being mediated and constituted in this space. People often don't like having snakes in their yard. That's like one of the kinds of animals that people are, I think, most frightened of. Snakes and spiders. There could be a whole other multi-species ethnography on spiders here. There's so many spiders all around the greenway. But people are often wary of and scared of spiders. It's that time of year. We're on social media, on Facebook particularly, seeing people post pictures of little tiny snakes, asking if they're baby copperheads. Copperheads are a venomous viper that lives in the United States, and they're pretty common where I'm from in North Carolina. They're here too, but I think they're most on the east side of San Antonio, and that's not where I live. And I haven't been over there but a few times just for some trail running. So people are often, wary of, scared of snakes. They don't know what to make of them. And the greenway here puts people in contact with snakes in a different context. Snakes aren't so bad if they're out and away from your space, when they're out in quote-unquote nature where they belong, using air quotes. We get into a whole conversation about that. And so people really have a different kind of relationship. As a matter of fact, as my partner and I were running yesterday, there was two people that were photographing a snake just off the trail, actually pretty close to where we last saw the coral snake. And I don't know what kind of snake it was. I didn't stop to ask because of this whole social distancing thing. I try not to get up in people's faces, which is really hard for me to do as an anthropologist. I like to talk to people and get people's sense of their experiences and whatnot. And it's just a kind of relationship that people have with snakes here. As I was running, or maybe actually I was walking last week, I think, recording one of these videos. They were doing some mowing along the greenway, and the two city employees that were doing the mowing were talking about all the different kinds of animals they see, and in particular they're talking about all the snakes that they see on the trail. And so I think, as it stands right now, the way I'm thinking about this is people's general conception in the West, or maybe in Texas, in the United States, or something surrounding snakes, and how different kinds of spaces mediate those relationships. They create different kinds of possibilities. You're going to have a different kind of experience with a snake that's crawling across the greenway in front of you as you're out walking than you are in your garden when you're trying to plant flowers. And so space, place, time, expectations all really matter to how these relationships play out. So I think that's kind of the direction that I'm going in. I spend a lot of my time engaging with multi-species literature, literature on landscapes, literature on space and place. And so I think this is a good opportunity for me to theorize and collect some empirical data on how these relationships and stuff play out. So Sarah's finally caught up with me. We don't live very far from here. But Sarah finally made it to the greenway with me, and so we're gonna maybe go check out Blind Snake Rocks and head over where we saw the potential coach whip down this way and the coral snake, and then hit some other bits of the trail down this way, and then maybe go towards Grissom trailhead and pass that today, just because. Sure. We still have not come across anything yet, but Sarah and I have been talking just briefly about what I had recorded earlier. I go walk through this area off the trail, and just thinking about how this is a particular kind of space that mediates different kinds of relationships and creates different kinds of possibilities. But also, this is a very made space, or a fictional space, a space that is constructed. Obviously, there are pretty clear examples of it, like the paved greenway here. The grass that I'm walking in now has been mowed. But even going, off trail on these unpaved trails or the dirt roads, or down in the creek bed, which is maintained by the city of San Antonio. But we don't even have to necessarily just think about this as like an anthropogenic space, a space made by people. As we're walking around, we can see ant hills. So you've got, the shape of the earth being disrupted. There are rodent trails and deer trails and stuff that move off through the trees. And so this is a very much a made space, as every space is. The plants are creating a particular kind of environment. Trees are leaning in particular ways in response to the sun. And so there's a lot of intentional and unintentional construction of this space, which to me is really exciting and really interesting. And all of these little bits that I think we often take for granted have agency in a way that they are producing effects in the world in various ways, and in really tangled, knotty ways that are maybe impossible to untangle, but maybe we can loosen them up enough to kind of pick them, and see them for what they are. There's a lot of anthropological theory that deals in that, and I tend to lean that way theoretically. All right, we're gonna go check the Texas blind snake rocks and see what we have there. All right, we're gonna check our blind snake rocks. Rock number 1, the beetle. It's having a really hard go at it. No snakes. Don't want to crush the beetle. Let's hit the rock right next to it. Again, nothing. Alright, we'll keep down the trail, we'll hit up the rocks where we found the tantilla last time, and then move on from there. Sarah and I took a different route, explored a place we haven't been before, mainly on the other side of the creek, or on the other side of 2 creeks. There's a nice area. It seems to stay a lot wetter.
Yeah, it's more forested.
And didn't really see any snakes over there. Saw a big lizard right when we got about back onto this trail. There was a lot of like itinerant homeless camps, like big ones over there. It was just says a lot about the state of the city. Yeah. You might have some stuff to say about that. I could go on hour-long rants about all the issues that lead to people not being able to afford housing. And all the camps, they seem maintained, but aren't in use. I mean, these are probably people who have jobs and work and and have families and stuff. There's like, we saw a tire swing that was hung up over there.
Yeah.
So these are like real human beings that for whatever reason don't have permanent housing, and instead are able to take advantage of these green spaces in the city, kind of off the beaten path. I was gonna explore out there more, but I always feel bad like operating and disrupting their lives, operating around their area. They get screwed with enough by police and park rangers and stuff. I don't want to contribute to it, so we headed back to the trail and gave those people their space. Now we're gonna walk down a little bit farther on the Leon Creek Greenway and then head back to the car. You can see, but pretty typical of the Greenway here is there's always lots of deer. There's a group of like, I don't know, 3, 4, like Sarah said like 8, so yeah, there's more out that way. So they're just perfectly fine with people being around. We've been out here for a few hours and we found nothing. So we're gonna check the old coach whip spot one more time on the way out. If we don't find anything, we're calling it. It's over. Heading home. Alright, we're gonna check these bits of roofing one last time. Hopefully not get stung by a scorpion. I know she's dead, but I just want to see the coach whip coiled up right here again.
Me too.
Nothing. What a day.
Yeah.